800-919-ESPN to the calls in just moments. Open lines. So by all means, get on board. Right now, though, it is time for the locks of incompetence. Now, if you are unfamiliar with the locks of incompetence, here's the situation, friends. We have, throughout the years, failed miserably at picking games on any sort of knowledge, based on any sort of analysis, based on any sort of studying of matchups. We've done all of those right things to try to get the correct answers and to try to pick games accurately to win you maybe a little schedule, so to speak. We have failed in that endeavor. It is something that I live with every day, and it's troubling. So this year, I just decided that we need to change things up. I need to put as little effort into picking these games as possible so as to not have myself influence this at all. I do believe that I do carry a bit of a Maloik with me when it comes to picking games. I do believe that. I've never been great at it. Never. So let's remove me from that equation, and maybe we can have success. Guess what? So far, yeah, it's kind of working out that way. I am picking the games, the Giant game, the Jet game, and a third NFL game. And I am picking them based solely on the most absurd fact from either team involved in the matchup, from that team's city or state where they're coming from. That has led me to a record of 15-11 this season. That win percentage, 555. The old triple nickel. That's better than a 50% winning percentage, punk. And I'm giving it to you for free. And what have I done? I have removed myself from having any sort of influence, of thoughts, of anything that could remotely be mistaken for analysis, facts, any of it. I've removed all of that to give you a better chance to win. And here we are at 15-11. You're welcome if you've been paying attention. I mean, if you're writing it down, you're winning. More than half the time is winning. You have extra money in your pocket if you have done this so far. So, having said that, let us officially turn to the locks of incompetence.
He's tried everything. Analysis, instinct, facts, coin flips, magic 8 balls, Scientology. If picking NFL games is right, you can count on him to be wrong. It's time for Carlin's Locks of Incompetence.
That's right. Game number 1, Sunday, 4:05. Leave that music up a little louder to build the drama. Exactly. The Seattle Seahawks at home, 11-point favorites against the New York Giants. Did you know that the Boeing Company, founded in the Seattle area by William Boeing, was originally a boat company? Mr. Boeing was fascinated with flying and airplanes. Seahawks minus 11. Pick number 1. Game 2. The Las Vegas Raiders, 8.5-point favorites visiting the New York Jets. Did you know that there are over 15,000 miles of neon tubing within the city limits of Las Vegas? Raiders, -8.5. Pick number 2. Pick number 3. The New Orleans Saints, 3-point favorites on the road against the Atlanta Falcons. Did you know, despite New Orleans' reputation as the country's Mardi Gras destination, it wasn't the first U.S. city to host Fat Tuesday's celebration. Instead, Mobile, Alabama held America's first Mardi Gras festivity. We'll take the Saints -3. Those are your locks of incompetence for Week 13. 800-919-3776. I hope you wrote it down. All I can do is lead a horse to water. I can't shove his face in it and make him throw $50 at it. I don't know what that means, but you get the point. Tom in New Jersey is next. Tom, what's going on? How are you, buddy?
Hello?
Hi, Tom.
Hey, Carlin, you owe me an apology.
For what?
I called maybe about a month ago, and I told you, like to think positive. Like, we need to start thinking positive.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Cohen's going to be behind the Mets. Kevin Durant and them in Brooklyn. I was talking about, the Giants and Joe Judge. They looking good. And you, destroyed me. I mean, literally destroyed me. Steve Cohen is not a lock. I'm telling you it's not a lock. Tom is not a lock.
Well, I didn't scream that it wasn't a lock. What I wanted you to do. Now, hang on. Hang on. I was not saying that Steve Cohen was not a lock. What I was saying is, given your history with the Mets organization, maybe, just maybe, wait until the ink is dry on the paper.
That was the whole point, to think positive. That's the whole point. And look where we at now. Giants is in first place. You look, Kevin Durant, we might get...
With air quotes, they're in first place. Yes.
Hey. You wasn't there the last time I talked to you.
Okay, what else?
We might get James Harden, which I don't want.
Oh, come on.
Come on. Hey. We wasn't talking.
Do you want James Harden?
No, I don't want James Harden.
All right, well, then we agree on that. Excellent.
All right, we got Kyrie.
You and me, we can find common ground here. We don't need to, hash this out like I owe you this major apology just because I was right on everything else and you wanted to be optimistic. Come on. You want to be optimistic, that's your problem.
Think positive. That's all I kept saying.
Okay.
We're going through a time where, it's like, 2020 hasn't been great. So
no, it has not.
We need to just think positive and just try to push forward and look what's happening in a month.
That I agree with. I'm usually a very positive person. All I was cautioning you against was history with the organization and, frankly, Jeff Wilpon's ability to blow that deal.
You couldn't do that. Not that time. You couldn't do it.
Well, I mean, come on. Jeff Wilpon had a chance to blow that deal. Of course he did. He did it once. He could have done it again.
I know, but we was right there. You couldn't. You just not this time. We was right there.
So I owe you an apology. You want an apology. That's what you want.
Thank you, Fat Man. I appreciate it.
I didn't say it yet. I said I acknowledge that you want an apology. I didn't give you the apology.
Well, you know what? I won't think you don't even have to apologize. Just think positive.
I am thinking positive. I have always been a positive thinker, despite how it may come across sometimes. And if I irresponsibly wronged you, which I'm still not convinced I did, I apologize.
Thank you, sir. Happy Friday.
You too.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
800-919-3776. 800-919-ESPN. Carlin, 98.7 ESPN. We, of course, have the video stream going as well right now on ESPN New York 98.7's Twitter handle and on ESPN New York's Facebook page. You can check that out there. We got open lines for you to hit as well. We get more into the Giants this weekend and why this game can actually carry some real significance even if they don't win. I'll explain in moments. I am Carlin. This is 98.7 ESPN at 13 minutes past 9 p.m.
98.7 ESPN presents Sam and the Fam with Jets quarterback Sam Darnold.
All right.
For everyone, not just the Jets, but I want to give away some exclusive private kind of virtual get-togethers, for your listeners to be able to hang out with me.
To enter, send an email to 987ESPN@gmail.com and let us know why you feel your family should win this one-of-a-kind experience with the quarterback of the New York Jets. It's Sam and the Fam, only from 98.7 ESPN.
Hey, it's Michael K. Tune in for my show Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m., presented by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com today. See how much you could save.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin.
If they made the playoffs, it could be one of those teams that you don't want to play because the unknown is there. You don't know what giant team can show up. You start to build confidence. When you win games, you build that confidence. And I think that is Tim, you can go and brush. Now tuned into the greatest. Turn the music
Get
up
that
and
dirt off your shoulder. All right, video chatting with the family this holiday season. We have got the perfect guest for everyone's virtual gathering. It's New York Jets quarterback Sam Darnold. 98.7 ESPN, Sam and the Fam sweepstakes. Here's how you win. Send us a brief message telling us why Sam should hang with your family for a 30-minute virtual huddle. Send that message to us at 987ESPN at gmail.com. That's 987ESPN at gmail.com. Winners will each get a one-of-a-kind experience with friends and family to have a virtual hangout with Sam Darnold. It's all from your home for the hookup and your home for the hangout. 98.7 ESPN. Carlin, with you, we've got a couple of calls that have been holding for a bit, so let's hit those. Jay and Bayside. Jay.
Hey, Carlin, love your show. Thanks for taking the call. How you doing tonight?
Good, Jay. I almost sneezed, but I held it in. And, that's like, that is, like, when you just sneeze and try to hold it in, it feels like your head's going to explode.
You can have an aneurysm that way.
Oh, that's good to know. That's great. Is that true? Are you a doctor? Is that true?
No, sir. Definitely not a doctor. Nowhere close. But anyway, I'm calling to ask you, what's your level of sympathy for Sam Darnold? And do you think it was a mistake for him to come back and play? I personally think he's looked not so great in the one game. People aren't cutting him any slack, and it's almost hurting him more. I kind of think it would have been better if he would have kept what he could have been a mystery during the offseason. How do you feel about that?
I think coming back was, I hate calling it a mistake, but in some ways it is. Because I am worried about him getting hurt again. And when they're saying on the broadcast last week, Sam's got no problem throwing the football, but boy, if he takes another hit, he's definitely concerned about re-injuring it. Of course he is. It's happened already. Why are we doing this? For a few different reasons, in my estimation, if that shoulder is not 100%, he shouldn't be playing. Number one,
definitely,
and the most important thing is for Sam. I mean, Sam doesn't deserve that. He deserves to be as healthy as possible. He's taken enough of a beating over the last couple of years. Number two is because you need to absolutely maximize the return on Sam if you end up with the number one overall pick, and he cannot be damaged goods going into the offseason. That's just asking for trouble. And if you're going to ruin this guy's career and let him take a shoulder injury for the third time, and you're on your third string offensive tackle, and Alex Lewis can't play, that's just not right.
It's not right. Can I just say one more thing before I go?
And by the way, I am limited in terms of, I am not limited in terms of my sympathy for Sam. God bless him. Sam, I feel for him. Go ahead.
No, and one more thing, Carl.
Baba Booey? What?
I hear these commercials on ESPN for a meet and greet with Sam virtually. I wonder in my head how that would actually go with some New Yorkers. I'll leave you on that. Take care.
I don't think people are mad at Sam. I don't think people are mad at Sam at all. I think the city genuinely likes Sam, Jay. I think you've seen him and the way he comes across. He's a pleasant guy. I actually don't think any Jet fan would give him a hard time at all. I don't think they think it's his fault, because in a lot of ways it's not. They haven't given him enough to work with. He's had a horrible head coach the last 2 years. And there's no other way to look at it than he's regressed under Adam Gase. And he hasn't been able to stay fully healthy. I honestly think that Jet fans, this is not like it was toward the end with Mark Sanchez, where they were angry because Mark Sanchez didn't become what they hoped he would become. Because, why? Because they saw Sanchez all over town. You'd see the videos of him partying, whatever, and that drove people insane. And I get that. That's completely fair. But I don't think fans feel that way about Sam Darnold. I personally would love to spend a holiday virtual chat with Sam Darnold. I think it'll be awfully pleasant. Downright homey. Maury in Queens. Maury, what's going on?
Hey, Chris.
Maury, do you own a wig shop?
Hello. Hello?
Hi, Maury.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I do.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Hello? Is the caller there? Maury. I did hear you, Maury, 3 times. Can't even drop in my Goodfellas wig shop joke. I mean, come on.
Maury's there.
It's like when we call your number, you got to show up. Maury in Queens, take 2. Maury, what's going on?
Hey, Chris, a couple of things. You mentioned about rooting against the team. But there's something I wanted to ask you because you're an expert on all this stuff, and I enjoy your show.
I appreciate that.
I've been watching football forever. And I have never seen maybe once or twice in 50, 60 years, I've seen them try to kick a field goal on 3rd down to avoid a bad snap. But it's not a strategy that's used too much. Can you tell me why? I mean, if they want to run the clock, play the clock, that's fine. If they want to get a little bit closer, that's fine. But if there's a punt over a hike back over somebody's head, they can do it all over again on 4th down. Why don't teams ever do that?
Maury, I don't think they, at that level, especially at the NFL level, you generally don't run into bad snaps anymore in that situation. You really don't. I mean, it's so rare now that they want to position it best as possible to give the kicker the best chance. And unless it's like really wet conditions or something like that, they're just not going to do that because the long snappers are paid to just do that. Just be a long snapper. Guys can make $1 million a year for a long time just doing that, and they have. And, they don't screw that up.
But don't you think though that if you have an opportunity to win a game by a point or two with a field goal, and somebody messes up, a long snapper messes up. I've seen that happen a few times, especially in wet conditions. They would do it on 3rd down to gain a yard or 2 or 3 or a little bit of an angle. I mean, it just makes sense. And pro football guys, I've seen it maybe once or twice in all the years of watching it. You don't think it's a good strategy? I do.
It's not that it's a bad strategy. It's just they don't worry about the snapper because that's literally the only job they have. They're able to count on them for that. So they don't worry about that as much as they used to. Again, wet conditions, slick, maybe they do it on 3rd down then. But they, I could count on one hand. I think about the Giants and the 49ers with Trey Junkin in 2002. I think about Tony Romo fumbling the snap, but that's on Tony Romo.
Yeah, but if I was a coach, and I'm not a coach, but if I was a coach, I would say, we're on the 5-yard line. Kick the field goal on 3rd down. Why take a chance?
Maury, appreciate the call. And listen, if you're going out to the diner, don't sit in the front seat. All right? You get the point. Maury's Wig Shop is still the greatest commercial of all time. And it wasn't even a real commercial. It was in a movie. 800-919-3776. Let's hit, it's just popping on right now. Let's get to our buddy James in Long Island. James, what's going on with you tonight? You're right up, James. How about that? Right out the gate.
Carlin, how's it going, buddy? First of all, I want to talk about the Jets. And don't you think that for them, coming into the draft, that getting a running back is, although I know they should get Trevor Lawrence also, but in the 2nd round, how about going after a running back? Because to me, I don't know about you, but I'm kind of sick of seeing Frank Gore out there.
Frank Gore's not going to be back next year.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I don't know about P. Ryan, but I think they should go for a running back like Travis Etienne from Clemson or someone in the 2nd round also. I think that would be a good move for them. And then I also got a point that I heard, happened to be listening, someone took a shot at you on your old workplace, and I wanted to defend you, and I was like...
Well, what was the shot?
It was because they were talking about, eating and stuff.
Well, who was it? Who was it,
and
first of all?
someone basically said to you that you don't, and they were talking about how the person was gaining weight, and he was like, I'm not, and he said, I'm not at Carlin-esque, me, and they were taking a shot at your weight, I guess, and that rubbed me the wrong way, and I just...
Who took the shot?
It was an old friend, Craig Carton.
Oh, okay. Listen, I mean, I am fat. What's the point? I mean, listen, If I got upset every time there was a fat joke made about me, I mean, come on, no big deal.
Well,
No big deal.
You could kick his ass in a fight.
I'm not worried about that. Listen, I'm glad that Craig is getting his life in order. So, listen, a fat joke is not the end of the world. Who cares?
Worry about kicking ass in the ratings, my man. You're doing great. Love the show.
Appreciate that. Thanks for checking in, James. Look, when it comes to the Jets getting a running back, you're talking about Travis Etienne from Clemson, by the way. And I actually have seen that in one or two spots where on the very early, psychotically early mock drafts, they have actually kicked around the Jets taking him at that second first-round pick. He's a very, very good player. I don't know that they're going to take one that high unless they feel like he's exceptionally dynamic. It's been proven time and again. You don't have to take a running back in the first round. You don't have to. You can find them later on, and they have so many needs that taking one that high, I wouldn't criticize it if it was the right guy, if it was Etienne, who I love. I love watching him play. But if it's the right guy, I wouldn't criticize it. But I don't see them doing it just because I don't want to call it a luxury, but it's not far from that in the way the NFL is these days. 800-919-3776. Think about some of the great running backs that are in the league right now. Alvin Kamara was what, a third-round pick? Second-round pick? Dalvin Cook? Second-round pick? I mean, unfortunately, Saquon has basically spent his career on the injured list. 800-919-3776. We will continue on the phones. We will get to the Giants here in just a second and why Sunday's game, even if they can't quite win, really can go a long way for the rest of the way in just a moment, and also really kind of bring you back to the old days. And Paul Pierce is having a rough go. His weed guy is suing him. We'll fill you in next. 9:30 on 98.7 ESPN.
The Mike
$800-919-3776. 800-919-ESPN. You know, the Giants going up to Seattle on Sunday, nobody is expecting them to win, and understandably so. You're not going to see Daniel Jones, even though he's only officially listed as doubtful. He's not playing. And with that being the case, you're going to have Colt McCoy, who's had a week more of snaps with the first team, or a week of snaps with the first team, but you still don't feel great about that situation. Look at how the Giants have played of late. They're going into Sunday's game as 11-point underdogs against the Seahawks without the 12th man, with their backup quarterback, but it's against the worst pass defense in the entire NFL. We have seen teams before go on stretches, go on runs. In fact, we've seen the Giants do it, where they start playing well at the right time, and all of a sudden they can catch fire. Do I expect this to be a Giant team that, considering where they are and what this season has been, is all of a sudden going to take off and turn it into an incredible postseason run? No. But if the Giants were to actually go to Seattle this weekend, even with Colt McCoy, and play well, God forbid even win the game, but play well, I honestly think it could have a similar effect that 2007 had when they played the Patriots, and in week 17, and all of a sudden they put it together, got on a great run. I'm not talking about the great run of the postseason, but just a run to win this division. All of a sudden start to try to find your way to 7 wins, maybe 8, if you play well down the stretch of the season. I'm not saying it's likely, but if they play up to their capabilities of late on Sunday, I don't expect them to win the game, but I expect that they could be able to keep it close. And think about it for a second. In 2007, they won 3 of their last 4 games going into that week 17 game against the Patriots, right? They lose that game 38-35, but there is no question how much confidence was gained out of that game and what happened from there. 2011, win 3 of the last 4. They finish 9-7. They make the postseason, get on another great run. All I'm asking for from the great run here is to go win the division and put a stranglehold on it. I don't expect it to happen Sunday up there, okay? In most ways, this is pretty much a can't-lose kind of game for the Giants. But the stakes to be gained are so much larger in making it a close game late. Could really be monumental. And immediately, they themselves will take note of the progress that they have made during the course of the season. You know that record, that old saying, the Parcells bit about you are what your record says you are? 98% of the time, that's true. The one thing you cannot deny is that the Giants are a much better team now than they were a month ago. And it's not that they're just playing better. They are a better team. They have gotten better. And I think that's what you have to look at here. If they go to Seattle and play well, man, that's a great, great sign. If they don't go up there and they lose 27-13, okay, it happened. But there's so much more to be gained. There's really nothing to be lost in a game like this. 800-919-3776, and God, if they ever won it, wow. That'd be a big-time wow. Not expecting it, but stranger things have happened. Gary in Carbone is up next. Gary, what's going on?
Hey, it's good to speak to you again, Mr. Carlin.
Is this Mr. Carbone, like from Goodfellas?
I got to go make the coffee. Hold on. You want me to make the coffee?
We're going to find you hanging in the back of a meat locker.
The The guy's like, "Where you from, Carbone?" Yeah, Carbone. Yeah, I heard you say before, like,
I love that guy's hair. I would love to have that guy's hair. Carbone's hair. Oh my God, it was amazing.
She liked that hair. But I thought you asked the guy if he owns a wig store.
A wig store, a wig shop. That's what I said.
I'm like, a wig shop? I'm like, what is he talking about? But yeah, then I understood. More, you kept laying it out. But yeah, the guy also really was good at jumping into swimming pools, too.
Oh, my God.
But,
hey, those wigs, they'd stay on in the swimming pool.
So here's, I don't know. I mean, what's going on? I mean, the Giants, I guess maybe it's just, I guess what's good is that there's excitement finally with football in the city, like a tingle or whatever. People are getting, there's tingles.
Well, it's not. What's good is it's not a completely lost season as it appeared to be, because everybody else in the division is so terrible.
But it just feels like as I go listening to the radio today, as time goes on, everybody keeps pushing this thing like that they're going to have a big upset. That they're going to, beat the Seahawks. And it's
I don't know if I see that.
And blah, blah, blah.
I don't know if I see that.
I feel like that Cowboys game is going to be, like, very interesting. I don't know. What do you think?
Look, I think the Giants are going to win 2 more games. And I don't expect them to go win this week, okay? I think that's unrealistic. And thanks for the call, Carbone. Nice. I don't think that's realistic. What I think is realistic, though, is to win this division at 6 wins. And it's completely fair. I mean, the fact that everybody else sucks isn't their fault. Maybe they could just suck a little bit less than every other team in the division. The 2 games to me that I feel like are eminently winnable. Arizona at home. Maybe I'd put Cleveland in that same, like I'd put one of those 2 games. If you can win one of those 2 games, and then Dallas in week 17. If you lose Dallas in week 17, that's a disgrace. But if you win those 2, if you win 2 of the remaining 5 games, you're going to get to 6 wins, and you're going to win the division. 800-919-3776. Your calls the rest of the way. Plus, as I said, Paul Pierce having a rough go. He's getting sued by his weed guy. I hate when that happens. Carlin, 98.7, ESPN.
It's the biggest show of the year. The Michael.
I guess I missed that story, Chris.
is back on Wednesday,
on
December 16th. Spend it with us.
You got to read after this.
Okay.
At home in your undies.
No.
We'll relive old holiday broadcast memories, spread some Yuletide cheer, and send 2020 packing.
Make like a tree and get out of here.
Don't miss one of the best shows of the year. The Michael K. Show holiday broadcast on Wednesday, December 16th.
No wonder your show is number 1.
On 98.7 ESPN.
Ah, yes, our friends from FanDuel Sportsbook. They have done it again. Did you know that you can bet on all the action at FanDuel Sportsbook this football season? And you probably should be doing it because it's America's #1 sportsbook. Their app is so simple to use. They've got great odds on all different betting markets, unique bet types like the same game parlay, and exclusive promotions. If you win, they get you your winnings in as little as 24 hours. Now, right now, FanDuel is letting you place your first bet risk-free up to $1,000. Just place a bet on any game. FanDuel is going to refund you up to $1,000 back if you don't win that first bet. No strings attached. Place any bet you want. If you win, you keep the cash. If you lose, you'll get your entire bet up to $1,000 back in site credit. Maybe you check out the Browns and the Chiefs this week. If you've never tried FanDuel Sportsbook, just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app to get started. Most importantly, though, you sign up with that promo code Carlin. You let them know the big fella sent you. That's FanDuel Sportsbook promo code Carlin. Must be 21 or older, present in New Jersey or Pennsylvania. First online real money wager only. Site credit non-withdrawable. Expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See sportsbook.fanduel.com for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This holiday season, give the gift of Spectrum Mobile. Get our Buy the Gig data plan plus a new Samsung smartphone for as little as $19 per month. Or choose our unlimited data plan. Spectrum Mobile gives you the flexibility to mix and match plans to meet your family's needs.
What's up, my people on the stream? Only in 2020 do you get sued by the weed guy, Stevie. Hey, it happens. Rutgers getting a win tomorrow? I hope so. 10-point dogs. Penn State can really run the ball well. But we'll see. We'll see. I think they got a chance. Carlin. Give me a wide receiver to pair with Mims instead. And you have two young studs outside. Ertz in the offseason. Crow in the slot. Crowder. No. I would not bring Ertz in. I think Zach Ertz is about done. I would not pay him now.
You can get a complimentary bottle. All you have to do is send them a text.
Text BEACH to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T.
With Nugenix, I've increased my lean muscle and feel stronger with more energy and endurance. And guys, take it from me. She'll like it too.
Text BEACH to 42424 right now.
Everybody's Ryan Hurley's sending me one of the best lines in the movie. Good trip, Henry. Good trip, sweetheart. When he's going to prison. Oh boy. Tremendous.
During cough and cold season, Walgreens knows
What else we got?
Those noses that tickle and twitch. So cute. And in as little as 30 minutes, Walgreens makes it easy to pick up your cough and cold must-haves. 30-minute pickup. Now that's faster than
I got to come up with some better background stuff behind me. Make this into a better backdrop. Okay.
Use as directed. Restrictions apply to 30-minute pickup. Valid through December 5th with My Walgreens. See walgreens.com/pickup for details.
Celebrate the 12 days of Christmas at Mazda of Lodi and receive 1 year free maintenance during the Season of Inspiration sales event. Shop online at mazdaoflodi.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-687-5192. That's 800-687-5192. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-687-5192.
So Paul Pierce is being sued over an alleged weed deal gone bad, screwing over the guy he hired to build and run his grow house. Here's how it went down. This is TMZ Sports. He's being sued by Kenneth Johnson, who's been described as a master grower when it comes to cannabis. In his suit, Pierce apparently hired him back in 2016 to design and develop a warehouse to cultivate cannabis from inception to completion. All right, that sounds weird. Johnson claims that Pierce offered him $10,000 a month and required him to move out to LA. But soon after they got started, he says Pierce cut his pay to $4,000, saying they couldn't afford the full rate until after there was product to be sold. He said things got worse from there, claiming Pierce and his company cut corners and didn't even get the weed plants into the warehouse until 2018. And then he claims that Pierce refused to pay him the promised $10,000 monthly rate, insisting they wouldn't have the funds until after the first harvest. Says he still owed $42,000. Look, you know, the grow house, listen, I get it. California, it's legal now. You're trying to make some money. But it feels like Kind of feels like the grow house now is, the weed business. Want to start the dispensary because it's starting to get illegal everywhere. Feels like it's the podcast of businesses now. Everybody's getting involved in it. It honestly does. I know like 3 different guys who were never big weed guys at all, who are now like investing in it, trying to get it up and running in New Jersey. And if you know New Jersey, trying to get one of those licenses, you're going to have to pay. And you're going to have to pay big time. 800-919-3776. Danny on Long Island. Danny, what's up, brother?
Good evening, sir. As I head back to work, I've just decided that the last segment of your show each night will now be known as the Continental Divide. We go from one to the other. But listen, the Giants are an interesting topic for discussion because they're a 4-8 or a 4-9 team, which in normal seasons we'd be screaming at Joe Judge is another, failure. But because the division basically has fallen apart this year, basically the Cowboys' injury to the quarterback was the most devastating because he'll be back next year, so the Giants will have to deal with him for the foreseeable future. But the Eagles and the Redskins basically have no quarterback, so the Giants are in good shape to compete. Now, we are talking about the same Giant team which barely beat the Cincinnati Bengals, who played their third-string quarterback, but yet somehow 7 days later they're going to go out to the West Coast and beat a Hall of Fame quarterback. Now, that defense...
I don't think they're winning the game. Let's be clear.
They're not even competing in the game. If that defense for Seattle is getting better as the season goes on, a lot of mistakes people make is to look at overall records and statistics. I wouldn't want to play the Atlanta Falcons right now if.
Oh, Danny, I know what you talk about, but their pass defense has been consistently bad all year.
Well, everybody's basically is because you're not allowed to play defense anymore. What happens is they don't have a pass rush.
But I know that, Danny, but they're 30 yards worse than the next closest team per game. I mean, that's a lot.
30. I understand that, but you'd have to see each game and see how they're playing out. They score. Like I said, I believe 60% of the game is your starting quarterback. So in this case, you're talking about a Hall of Famer against a journeyman who was holding the clipboard. So I would be shocked if the Giants are in this game in the fourth quarter. You could be in the game in the second. The Seattle Seahawks are a veteran team. They're going out to win the game. They're not going out to stick 45 points.
No, the Seattle Seahawks are looking at this game, and they're a game in front of the Rams, and they understand that it's a game that they have to have. And most importantly, the Seahawks aren't a team that loses in big spots where they have to win.
And I think our undefeated Steelers, I think if they're going to lose, this is going to be the week. Having 4 days off against a team that has 9 days off is tremendously unfair. We're not going to have the center. We're not going to have the running back. We're not going to have a defensive tackle. I don't know if Tuitt's back. So there's just too much working against the Steelers right now. Obviously, we know that the fact that they didn't play well Wednesday actually bodes well for the Steelers because they're certainly going to have a burr up their butt, and we all know how Tomlin reacted to that. So they're not going to look past the Redskins. They're certainly going to want to go out and play well. But I think that there's just a lot. But again, the Redskins, you watch these teams when they beat other 4-win teams, and you don't know if you're looking at a good team because they're playing another bad team. So I don't know how to judge these teams. They have a professional quarterback. At the very minimum, Alex Smith is a great story, and he's a professional quarterback that won't kill them with his brain. He's not
he won't, Danny, but at the same time, I think you hit on something. How aggravated Tomlin was the other day, and that's going to permeate. And the other thing, too, is I get it. The Redskins are not awful, and Alex Smith is not going to kill them. But I just think they're better. I think they're better. I hate the fact that they have to play 3 games in 11 days. That's not fair.
It's not fair, particularly when you play. So the NFL went out of their way this year that every team that played on Thanksgiving, the following week played another team that played on Thanksgiving. So there was no competitive advantage. That's why the Ravens are playing the Cowboys.
Yep.
So then they turned around. And I know there's all kinds of scheduling. In the age of COVID, you got to do what you got to do. But to give one team 9 days off, another team 4, is blatantly unfair and, quite frankly, very dangerous. Because there was a thing going on with those Thursday night games. We saw a lot of injuries. Those were against 2 teams that were equally unrested. In this case, you have a team that has a bye week coming off a team that has 4 days rest. That's unbelievably dangerous.
Listen, Danny, I appreciate the call as always. And you're right. It is an unfair situation. The fact that they are undefeated, they're not going to draw much sympathy. And I would be annoyed by it too. Mainly, I'd be annoyed by the fact that if they lose a game, then you're going down to potential tiebreakers with the Chiefs, right? And I think that's an issue. You know, like if you actually lose out on that first round bye, when it's the only thing that's really truly gained this year is getting the bye week in that first round as being the top overall seed. It's not the top two. If you miss out on that and you had to play 3 games in 11 days and the loss came in there, that sucks. That truly sucks. And then you got to play week 1 and play again. And, you know, that would rub me the wrong way. And I know they had a lot of time off in between, but they weren't planning on having that much time off in between. They didn't want that. And now you have to more than make up for it on the other end. I don't think it's right. And as for the Giants, look, I don't expect them to go out there and win this game. I think that's entirely absurd to think that's going to happen. Yes, after they barely got past the Bengals the other day, and they nearly handed the game away. Bottom line is the Giants had their second-string quarterback in there for most of the second half. The game should have been put away on Logan Ryan's forced fumble, and it wasn't. And now they go to a place where they're not going to have the 12th man, and the Seahawks, you could say whatever you want. They're bad against the pass. Now, you have your second-string quarterback, so that's an issue. Me? I would just try to target number 33 every time he is back in coverage because Jamal Adams has been awful in pass coverage this season. I mean, his grade as a pass covering safety is down around like 45th in the league. He's been just horrible in that regard. So I'd look out for him, and I would target him as much as I could. Pick on him all day. All right, that's going to do it for me. Lots of fun tonight. My thanks to both Jordan Raanan and, of course, Rich Cimini, both from ESPN New York, covering the Giants and Jets, respectively. My thanks tonight to Brian Mungia. My thanks tonight to Jacob Perry, the both gentlemen, the backbone of the show, as usual. We will be back come Monday at 8 p.m. following Inside the Jets. I very much look forward to that. We will have plenty to discuss that night. Coming up next, it is the Weekend Wager. Anita Marks standing by. So you keep it right where it is. We will see you on Monday at 8. Stay handsome, my friends. Carlin out.
New York, we miss you and can't wait to...
Sorry about that, Carlin.